أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Viewers of MTA, today we are going to have our lesson number 5, and we start our lesson as according to the format of the program. We do first revision, and now this is Surah Al-Ikhlas. Okay. Now there are 3 words which have been highlighted, one with red one, and the second, the last verse, which is with the orange color. Okay. These words, these highlighted words, they remind you anything about a rule which you have already learned that? Yes?
Lam Jalala.
Yes, it's Lam Jalala. Okay. Now, the rule is that, just to recap, that Lam Jalala means the Lam of Allah, and that should be manifested with thick sound, with full mouth, when the previous letter is with Fatha or with Dhamma. Now, in this case, Allahu and Allahu, the both examples, Fatha carries before that, and the last verse, which is Walam yakul lahu, this Lam is not Lam al-Jalala, so that will always be pronounced with thin sound, not thick sound. Okay, so let's do the practice first, okay, and then I will ask you. So if you could open this chapter number 112, 112. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Now the first example of Lam al-Jalala in this verse, in Surah Al-Ikhlas, the first verse is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Tasmiya or Basmala, and this Lam will be pronounced with thick sound or thin sound?
Thin sound.
Thin sound, because the previous letter, which is Mim, which is joining with Lam al-Jalala, is with Kasra. Okay, so that will be very softly Bismillahi, not with thick sound. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Qul huwallahu ahad.
Qul huwallahu ahad.
Allahu samad.
Allahu samad.
Lam yalid wa lam yulad.
لم يلد ولم يولد
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Make sure that there are 4 times Lam with Tashdeed, Mushaddad Lam has been mentioned here, has come here. Now the first 3 Lam, the first one, Bismillah ar-Rahman, this Lam will be pronounced with thin sound, because this is, the Lam al-Jalala, the previous letter with Kasra. The other 2 Lams, Lam number 2 and 3, in verse number 2 and 3, that will be manifested with thick sound. But Mushaddad Lam with Tashdeed in verse number 5 will always be pronounced with thick or thin? Thin sound, okay, because this Lam is not Lam al-Jalala. This is a common Lam which has come many times in the Holy Quran. Okay, though the Lam al-Jalala, the word Allah has come many times, but the rules thick and thin is only related to Lam al-Jalala. other lam other than all will be manifested with thin sound. That's why I say walam yakul lahu, not thick sound. Okay, but at the same time we practiced qalqala rule as well, because ahad, as-samad, yalid, yulad, ahad. Okay, now this is Surah Al-Falaq, and one letter has been highlighted, and it reminds you the rules, of qalqala, how many categories are there, when it is pronounced. So let's do the practice. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq.
قل أعوذ برب الفلق
من شر ما خلق.
من شر ما خلق.
ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب.
ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب.
ومن شر النفاثات في العقد.
ومن شر النفاثات في العقد.
ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Okay, bye. Can you recite all of that, please?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق. ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب. ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Okay, thank you very much. Jazakumullah. Tahir, you do that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق. ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب. ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Okay, next time your turn. All right.
Okay.
So don't next word. This is Surah An-Nas. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and one letter has been highlighted, and this highlighted letter reminds us a rule of ghunna, nasal sound, up to 2 seconds. Okay, I ask Hassan, do this one.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
Okay, Jazakumullah. So all places of known gunna, nasal sound, have been manifested, properly pronounced. Okay, because at that time we were focusing on that rule. Now we are going to learn a new surah and a new rule, and this is Surah Al-Lahab. Okay, so 2 letters have been highlighted, Tabbat Yada, and this is a small, this is like a small sword there, this sign, and again in verse number 3, again that alif and with a small sword has been highlighted. Now we have to learn what is this one. Okay, but because we know that there are certain rules which are being applied here, we have already learned that. I will go through all that one quickly, just one practice, and then we move to find out what are these rules. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب
تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب
ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب
ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب
سيصلى نارا ذات لهب
سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته
حمالة الحطب
حمالة الحطب
وامرأته حمالة الحطب
وامرأته حمالة الحطب
في جيدها حبل من مسد
في جيدها حبل من مسد.
Okay, so this is also a good surah to practice jerking sound, qalqala. And now what is this small sword, or this where we have prolonged this alif? Okay, this is basically alif madda. Why we have prolonged? Now this is the story behind that one. Rules of prolongation. In the first lesson we learned about 3 letters of madda, prolongation, alif, waw and ya. How does a letter prolong within text of the Holy Quran? And the verse which is in focus here, look, ma, and on alif madda there is a small sword, that sign. And again this ma has come in maluhu, but this sign is not there. Again this ma has come, wama kasab, and this sign is not there. So it means that there are certain rules which apply here. Though the word ma has come 3 times in this verse, but only in the first example ma carries a special sign, which is to prolong that one. And let's start with this one. Now the first row, in the first column there is a meme, and meme, that this is one of the Arabic letter. Okay, lam meme nun, meme. This is simple letter meme and no restriction. This calls meme simple. Okay, and only restriction comes when a fatha, kasra, dhamma applies, or it carries that one. Now on the next example, next row is meme with fatha, meme with fatha, meme with a harakat, and it means it will be prolonged up to 1 second. Ma, you can't say ma because this is only fatha. Fatha, only 1 sec, 1 beat, 1 count. So ma. Now the third row and the first column, meme followed by alif, alif madda. Meme carries fatha and then alif. Meme with a harf al mad up to 2 seconds, because there is a fatha and also alif madda. So we can say that we have to prolong up to 2 seconds, 2 counts. Ma, not restriction ma, look, ma, making a difference between the two, as we have read fatha 2 times. Okay. Now the next row, the first column, is the same word ma, meme, alif, fatha, and on alif there is a sign. This sign is called smaller madda, sometimes smaller madda, and it is, the real name is mad al-munfasal. Okay, detached prolongation. Meme with a harf al-mad followed by hamza alif. Hamza alif. Why is hamza alif? Alif with fatha is called hamza alif. Any alif if it comes with any harakat, with any stroke, okay, for example, fatha, kasra, dhamma, it is called technically hamza, and it is called hamza alif. Now in this example, it could be prolonged up to 3 seconds. Ma. If alif madda is not followed by hamza alif, it would not be prolonged. Like in the example of this one, you see in the ma aghna anhu malu wa ma kasab, the verse which is in focus, look, after alif madda, the next hamza alif coming, ma aghna. But in maluhu, alif madda and the next letter is lam. So it will not be prolonged up to 3 seconds. It's normal 2 seconds. Again another example, wa ma kasab, mim followed by alif madda ma, simple ma up to 2 seconds. And the next word is not starting with hamza alif, it's starting with kaf. So it will not be prolonged up to 3 seconds. So this is basically how the rule applies, and we have example in Surah Al-Lahab. Now just quickly, which we have learned previously, there are 2 broad categories of prolongation. First one is original prolongation, like alif, waw and ya, like nu, hi, ha, waw, ya and alif, nu, hi, ha. You have learned that one in order to understand and memorize that basic prolongation, u, ti, na, u, vi, na. Normal duration to pronounce a letter followed by a letter of prolongation is up to 2 seconds. But there are conditional prolongation. One is original prolongation, alif, waw, ya, any letter followed by any of these 3 letters of prolongation, just up to 2 seconds. This is original, it has to be, it is compulsory. But there are conditional prolongation, as you can see here, bima unzila. On alif there is a sword, small sign is there, and we have good example in which we have just learned in Surah Al-Lahab. And again on sawa'un, you can see here on alif, and there is a bigger madda. This sign, this sword is a thick sword, as compared to the previous word. And again in hajjahu, and you can find this again thick sign, and al-ana. So these are just 4 examples to tell you that there are conditional prolongation and special certain rules apply on them, and this time we are focusing only the smaller madda where the 2 words are involved. Remember the next 3 example on sawaun, hajjahu or al-ana, it has only 1 word, within 1 word is a bigger madda is coming. But as far as the smaller madda concerns, or it involves 2 words, like bima unzila, tabbat yada abi, okay, and many other example. Now this is basically called al-mad al-munfasil. In order to, you have learned 17 verses, because this is also one of your syllabus in Waqf-e-No, that memorize 17 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay, now you can recognize in your mind, scan your mind, your memory, and this is verse number 8 in Surah Al-Baqarah, khatamallahu ala qulubihim wa ala sam'ihim. Now look here, ala has come 3 times in this verse. The first example, ala qulubihim, the second example, wa ala sam'ihim, and the third example, wa ala absarihim. Now on the third example, on ala, you can find a smaller madda. You see, mad al-munfasil, al-mad al-munfasil you can find there. Why? Because the rule applies here, and the next word starting with hamza alif, a alif with a fatha, that is hamza alif. But in the other example number 1, ala qulubihim, after ala, qaf is coming, wa ala, the second example, sin is coming. There is no hamza alif. You understand my point? So that's why that they will not be prolonged. And this وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ will be prolonged because of that rule. Remember, if a words end at harf al-mad, a letter of prolongation followed by hamza alif, it will be prolonged up to 3 seconds. This prolongation involves 2 words in order. Remember, al-mad, al-munfasil, they involve 2 words, where the first word is ending on a alif madda, and the next word, the first letter, is starting with hamza alif. Like we can find many examples here. Look here. Example of mad al-munfasil from first 17 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is, they are in your mind because you have already memorized. This is part of Waqf syllabus, okay, at your age. Now I have taken all these examples from them. Okay, the first example we find bima unzila. Again, meme followed by alif, and the next word unzila starts with alif, hamza alif, with the dhamma. Okay, it doesn't matter whatever comes on the next word. It starts with the fatha, kasra, dhamma, whatever. Now here we will practice, and you have to follow me. Bima unzila,
bima unzila,
wama unzila,
wama unzila.
You have to judge yourself. You can make a difference between that this is fatha, and again alif madda, and then if such example mad al-munfasal comes. So you make some assessment or judgment in your mind that you want to make a difference between 2 and 3 sounds in prolongation. Okay, now ala absarihim,
ala absarihim.
You are prolonging here mad al-munfasal, but on ba there is a khalkala. You already know that. So at the same time, now each time in each class your responsibility is becoming higher, bigger, because you have to practice and you have to learn, apply all the rules which you have learned. Illa anfusahum,
إلا أنفسهم
قالوا إنما Now remember, I told you that the first word could be ended on alif madda, waw madda, or ya madda. Now in this case it has ended on waw madda. Before that, bima unzila, ma unzila ala, but this waw. So harf al-mad, a letter of prolongation is concerned. When the first word is ended or ends at a letter of prolongation, it could be alif, waw, or ya. In this case, it is waw. قالوا إنما ألا إنهم كما آمن. Okay, you may have noticed here in this example I have made a waqf there. Okay, so it is up to you. You make a waqf or without waqf, though anyway. قالوا أنؤمن كما آمن ألا إنهم قالوا آمنا قالوا إنا in order to practice this one, this is a very good surah, small surah in which you can find many examples. I go quickly and then we inshallah ta'ala finish this one assignment. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
قل يا أيها الكافرون
قل يا أيها الكافرون
لا أعبد ما تعبدون
لا أعبد ما تعبدون
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد.
You know, you have to prolong at the same time with the same length all these two, you know, in one verse, because it is coming with one verse, so you have to give, you know, equal time on both examples because they carry the same weight. وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ
ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد
لكم دينكم ولي دين
لكم دينكم ولي دين.
Okay, in your spare time you have to practice at least 7 times this one loudly, okay, and making sure that all these the examples al-mad al-munfasal is properly recognized in your voice. Now last is assignment. Identify and practice the rule of mad al-munfasil in Surah As-Saf, which is in part number 28, chapter number 61, very famous, okay. We well recognize this surah because it is many times, you know, it is repeated in the prayers and also in tabligh. And count the places where a consonant means a letter, will be prolonged up to 3 seconds. You will find many examples on that one, okay. So this is your assignment up to the next class. So with this we conclude our lesson number 5. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ورتل